Welcome to Call of the Wild.
Hey everyone, this is Monstercat's weekly radio show connecting you with some of your favorite artists.
Hey everyone, this is Kill Paris.
Hey guys, this is Conroe.
What's up guys, Deon Timmer here.
And of course, a place where individuals like yourselves can take part in a global family.
Hey yo, this is Logan from Australia.
I'd like to shout out everyone who listens to Monstercat and remind you that you're awesome.
So glad I'm here.
So get yourself ready for an hour of fresh music, and it all starts right now.
With nothing to hold us back, these are the songs of the wild.
Hey everyone, what's up? This is Rocket Man welcoming you back to Monstercat's Call of the Wild. We have a packed episode ahead of us with a takeover from Ehi Oribo, spotlights from AU5, Ghost and Zushi, and Floa and 40 Cats, as well as some exclusives, which you'll just have to stick around to hear. So let's get right into this, and please give a warm welcome to Ehi Oribo right here on Monstercat's Call of the Wild.
Hey, what's up? This is Ehi Oribo, and for those who may not know who I am, I'm a singer, songwriter, musician, and producer who's had the pleasure of putting out a few songs with Monstercat. In this Call of the Wild radio show episode, I'm going to be sharing all 4 of my Monstercat releases with you, as well as some of the backstories that went into their creation. I'll also be sharing some tracks released by Monstercat that I just happen to enjoy. If you stick around until the end of the episode, I'll be sharing the release date for my new album coming out later this year through an indie label called Grand Select. This track is called By Design, and it was released by World in 2016. Personally, I just feel like this is one of World's coolest tracks. It's got this arpeggiated synth layer that's doing so many cool harmonic things, while the DNB underneath it has just such interesting drum sounds that I think were amazing to choose. I think World's really talented, and I love the DNB that World creates. So my first Monstercat release was a track called Drowning, and it was a collaboration that I made with World, released on his Awake EP in 2016. At that point, I released my debut LP Limeade through the label Desk Pop, and was really excited about working with other people for the first time in a while. David, who goes by World, and I worked on it remotely, and it started off with me receiving the instrumental. My main goal was to respond and interact with the sounds in a way that matched the environment, and the rhythms and register of the chord progression made me want to do some falsetto vocal stuff. The percussion is like a grandiose house beat that's in like 3/4. I'd never really interacted with something like that, so I was really excited to put this track together, you know? In terms of the writing, I felt like the chord progression and the pace of the track was melancholic, driving, angsty, and smooth, and I mixed that observation with inspiration from a turbulent time in a romantic relationship of mine that I'd recently experienced. I ended up writing about two lovers losing hope in their connection due to past events, and them trying to imagine a way through together.
I could shit and keep, but I'm not long pressed. Meaning I ain't pressed for no time. I ain't stressing no clown. I'm down here for you, but my style ain't for you, and I know you care. Tell me I'm down here for you, but my style ain't for you, and I know you care. Tell me I'm Tell me how am I supposed to stop that? I could recollect a million times. I bring the clock back. I've been occupied, I've never had to fall back. But now I'm on the road, got you asking me to call back. Baby, I'm joning for you, but my style ain't for you, and I know you care. Tell me I'm wrong, girl. I'm joning for you, but my style ain't for you, and I know you care. Tell me I'm wrong, girl.
My second Monstercat release was a track called Standoff with Memba. First off, I love the Memba dudes. In 2017, I met Will and Ishan, who are Memba, at the World and Smile show in New York City at Knitting Factory. We became friends backstage after World and I played Drowning for the first time. It turns out, Memba and I already had a load of mutual friends around New York City. A few weeks later, I started sessioning with them and learned about how special the craft is. With Standoff, we tried to make something that would really bring joy and energy into a room in that way that heavy electronic pop R&B songs really can. I wanted to make sure that I could fuse the hook with the drop in a way that rode the energy. My writing inspiration for this one came from imagining being at a fancy party and forming an unexpected connection there with someone that you've known for years.
some postcard actions. Sauce, sweat all off your face into dance floor, babe, dance on, babe. Sweat falls off my face inside. Stand up, babe, stand up. Stand up. It's nights like this, we're wide awake. It's times like this you shy away from me, babe. Started in a hotel lobby, cleaned up just to get too sloppy. Things I showed you, I can't show you. After daylight, started in a hotel.
My third release with Monstercat was 15 Story Jump, and that track is with Memba and Smile. Memba and I started 15 Story Jump just a few months after making Standoff, and both came out in 2018, but we written them in 2017. Working on both records, I would travel from New Jersey to New York City and spend countless hours with Memba at their loft, just working on songs. I genuinely loved tracking vocals with them, and so I wanted to work on something that was especially vocal intensive and beautiful. I figured that if I can do that, I'd be giving them something really interesting to then work with. Smile, which is Lewis and Ruben, actually did a lot of the chord progressions on this record. This track was definitely a very interesting and sweet group effort. The lyrics were inspired by becoming so vulnerable with someone that you feel defenseless, high up in the air, while attempting to meet them where they are in hopes of understanding them.
Just say the word, I'll go away. Just say the word, I'll go. Used to the calm, bitch, stole the way. Said I'm used to the calm, but now it's a 15 story. It's a 15 story. Well, is it do or die? You my compass, so I need a handful for you approaching. Destroying my focus. Just say the word, I'll go away. Just say the word, I'll go. Used to the calm, bitch, stole the way. Said I'm used to the calm, but now it's a 15 story. To your rooftop, from a rooftop, to your rooftop, from a rooftop, on my way down to your rooftop, on no safe route. Oh, I know rooftops ain't no playground. Cut up, it was flowing and it came down. It's a 15 story.
My fourth and most recent Monstercat release is a track called Slow Truth with Icarus Moth and Deffy. It actually just came out earlier this month on September 7th through Monstercat Instinct. Honestly, this track was put together in such a unique way. Years ago, I'd begun experimenting with writing pop songs that had simple yet compelling melodic movement. I ended up shelving a lot of them, but I knew there were a few in there that were really cool. A little while later, around 2019-ish, Icarus Moth told me that him and Deffy were sessioning in LA together and had asked me if I had any top lines laying around. I sent them a few different vocal ideas and they decided to work on Slow Truth. The instrumental they put together is nothing like how I would have imagined, and it's both awesome and somehow wildly fitting. They definitely added a little bit of grit, spice, funk, and low-end thump to it. The lyrics are inspired by having to tell someone some bad news about a situation while encouraging them not to let it harsh their mellow too badly.
I'm on my way to that address. Take it slow, slow. Take it slow, slow. Take it slow, slow. Take it slow, slow. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Waste all hours in traffic all day. You don't got your heart, you Google mapped it. I'm on my way to that address. Take it slow, slow. Take it slow, slow. Take it slow, slow. Take it slow, slow.
So this next track I want to share is by Tony Romero and Odd Kid Out, and it's called I Love You. I just think it's really dope shuffly house, and I love what's going on harmonically on top of the drums. I think the vocal line and vocal chop is like a really cool melody, and it's affected in a really sweet way, and it's just really cool to play. So here it is. So this next song is called All the Roads, and it's by Mango and ND Katani. It was actually a really recent release on Monstercat Silk that I found and really liked. I feel like it's like ambient house. I had a friend with a roommate who would constantly listen to music that they'd call float house. I'm not sure if it's anything like this, but I call this track ambient house, with like a really sweet harmonic space and it's like a really sweet vocal line in terms of that lead melody. Where do we go from here? I think it's just dope. So check it out. So this next track that I want to show you is called Revival, and it's by Smile and Just a Gent, released by Monstercat around the summer of 2020. It's like this housey, hip-hoppy, future-based tinged kind of beat that has a lot of interesting harmonic movement and chord choices going on inside of it, as well as some really interesting like synthesis and just synth sounds with a bunch of breaks, interesting turnarounds with percussion. And to me, it just reminds me of the cool stuff that both of these artists just do. I feel like Smile just knows how to pull cool harmonic stuff out in everything they do. So check it out. This next track is called MS69 by Tony Romero. This track is so unique to me. It's like electro, hardstyle, atonal house that's also really moody and like chill step-ish, if that makes any sense. I mean, I just feel like the sound design and the literal melody of the lead synth is just so unique and cool, with this percussion that feels like hip-hop-ish house. I just think it's dope. Yo, again, this is Ehiorobo, and thanks so much for listening through to the end of the episode. We dove into the backstories of all the tracks that I've released with Monstercat through the years, and checked out some recent favorites of mine created by other artists and released through the label. My new track, Slow Truth with Icarus Moth and Deafy, was put out just a few weeks ago through Monstercat, so thanks again for checking that out. I'd just like to say that I really appreciate the Monstercat community for checking out my tracks through the years, supporting my work, and sending so much love in my direction. This summer, I released 3 new singles via the indie label Grind Select, named J Ventura, Bloodsports, and Munstar, all leading up to the release of my new sophomore album, Jolt Jacket, out everywhere on December 10th, 2021. Alright, I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me and checking out these tracks. I'd like to send thanks to the Monstercat crew for having me on here, and I hope you check out my new album, Jolt Jacket, releasing on December 10th via Grind Select. Peace, peace.
Thank you, Ehiorobo. Be sure to follow him on socials to keep up with all of his new releases, and let him know what you thought of the takeover using hashtag COTW Radio. Now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for, exclusives. And this week, they're back-to-back. First up, we have this banger from Pegborn Nerds and More Plastic with The Ride, and you heard it here first on Monstercat's Call of the Wild.
I want to get down to the simplest possible nitty-gritty.
That was Oblivion with Planet Eternium, and it's coming out soon on Monstercat, so keep an eye out for it. Next up, and keeping the energy going, is our Instinct Spotlight of the Week. This is Ghost and Zushi with their record Run. Call the Wild, let's go. That was Vlor with Paradise. If you want to hear more Monstercat records early, head on over to monstercat.com/gold to find out more. Coming in now is our Uncaged Spotlight going to AU5. We previewed this one last week and you all thoroughly enjoyed it, so here it is in full. This is Awaken featuring NOHC, right here on Monstercat's Call of the Wild.
Start to believe everything you ignore.
one more exclusive for you today. This is Mazel with Crashing Down. Let them know what you think on socials using hashtag COTW Radio, and you heard it here first on Monstercat's Call of the Wild.
I'm waiting for better days, but I'm not giving up hope just yet. This stillness is just a phase. I need to find my purpose again. It's been hard to keep my composure, and I really wanted to be over. Innocence in summer rays, we come back swinging. When it all comes crashing down on us, stand your ground. Faith is something that is really hard to find. So take it on yourself and keep your head up straight. Brighter days will come, so you better be prepared. When it all comes crashing down on us, crashing down.
Quiet revival, feel it in my bones, drifting for miles, lost with no sight of home. Waves breaking, unraveling in my mind. I'll let the race take me, finally coming to life. Come inside.
You just heard our Silk Spotlight of the Week going to Floa and 40 Cats with their record, Minotti. One last record for you today. This is our community pick going to No Taker with his record, Shimmer. As always, thank you for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to share our music with you. And until next time, this has been Rocket Man signing off. See ya.
That's a bad kitty.